Welcome to the Locked In Baseball Podcast. It is Sunday, February 1st. I'm William Locke. He is Luis Barranco. Luis, we have baseball games this month. How's it going?
We finally made it. Happy February 1st. Really excited. Pitchers and catchers report in the next 2 weeks. We finally made it. It was like months ago. It was like an eternity that we were up at like 4 a.m. Recording game
3 World Series recap at like 3 a.m.
Yeah, 3 a.m. recap, and we fighting to stay up. We finally made it. I know it's spring training for broadcasters and podcasting. Did you see the Mets team and the New York Yankees team getting ready and doing their spring training?
No, I didn't see that.
No, yeah, the Mets have started their spring training for the broadcast team. I know Dave Sims posted a picture on X showing that the Yankees have started the trek down to Tampa.
Nice.
The cold Tampa air, Yeah, Tampa is New York.
There's a cold blast coming through there, huh? It's in the 20s or something crazy?
Bro, we woke up at 28 this morning here in Miami.
Wow.
We have a freeze warning.
Well, I'm hoping it's not like that when I'm down there in March for the WBC. Flights officially purchased. We're going to one of the semifinal games. I think it's semifinal one. I don't know, one of the two. So we're going to be there. Obviously, we have a lot to talk about with the WBC. I do love those videos of like the Yankee truck getting all packed up in the Bronx, and they're making the trek down to Tampa. It does get the juices flowing because when I look outside right now, there's snow everywhere. It's still freezing. You don't really feel like baseball's around the horizon, but baseball is finally on the horizon. We have a lot to talk to. There's been on this episode, there's been a lot happening this week, a lot of moves, especially in San Francisco. The A's made a big move, big extension. Yankees made a trade. White Sox continue to be active. MLB released their top 100 players and prospects last week, so we're going to react to those. Keith Law also dropped his for The Athletic. Brian Cashman, Aaron Boone. We're talking to the press, introducing the Bellinger signing. And we have some news from the WBC. We also have some news from Minnesota with the Twins. Crazy week to be a GM in Minnesota.
Crazy week to be the Minnesota one with the Vikings and the Twins.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll talk about that. I feel like we should start with the WBC. Luis, this is pretty devastating news for you. I mean, the past 48 hours, you've watched your team just get totally ravished to insurance concerns.
Well, I mean, I feel right now, you say you look outside for baseball. I'm like, I walk outside and it doesn't feel outside for baseball. Like, it's clearly, we're going to have a new champion in the WBC this year. It's not going to be Team Japan and it won't be Team USA. It's going to be insurance teams going to win this year. It's just, I mean, what's going on here, guys? Like, I understand the insurance concern, but like, oh man, this Team Puerto Rico is going to, they should just call me up and just take a couple, just get me on a flight. I don't have insurance concerns. Like, if I tear my lat or I blow my UCL, it won't freaking matter. I don't need a UCL in everyday life. Like, I don't need to throw 100.
Yeah. So for those that aren't aware, Team Puerto Rico has lost a bunch of players to insurance. They were not able to get coverage. Among those, Francisco Lindor, after undergoing 2 surgeries on his right elbow in the past 3 off seasons. That one was a big surprise. I don't think there's anybody that's really worried about his health, but he was unable to get insurance. Carlos Correa, that one maybe makes a little bit more sense. José Berríos, Victor Caratini, all were denied coverage. The team may withdraw from the tournament. And then just reading from The Athletic, Ken Rosenthal posted an article up this morning because this has been a trend across the WBC. Team Venezuela, for example, lost José Altuve. He was unable to get insurance after undergoing a procedure in his right foot in November. Since the last tournament, insurance for Major League players has grown considerably more expensive, and the league's insurer has become more stringent about which players it approves. People briefed on the underwriting process who are not authorized to speak publicly said. National Financial Partners, which is an official partner of Major League Baseball, they broker the insurance policy for the WBC. They did not comment. A player denied insurance coverage can still participate in the WBC if his major league team is willing to assume the financial risk in case of injury. The Tigers did that in 23 with Miguel Cabrera, who earned $32 million that season. The insurance policy pays back the major league club for a player's salary if the player gets hurt during the World Baseball Classic. Players are not at risk of losing their salaries. For approved position players, the insurance covers 100% of their salary for 2 years. For pitchers, it's 4 years. So my thing, and I understand like this sucks for you, and I totally agree. Like baseball can't, like whenever baseball has momentum going, it shoots itself in the foot. Because are you really telling me that a guy like Francisco Lindor is a major injury concern for the WBC? Like he's going to be playing in spring training games during the WBC anyway. So it's not like he's not going to be playing baseball. The chances of getting injured in spring training are probably maybe a little bit less than getting hurt in the WBC, but still the risk is still there. And you also have to think like the NHL has no issue getting their players insured for like the Four Nations, for the Olympics, which are starting up here shortly. And that is a 50 times more physical and dangerous injury prone sport than baseball is. Like this is just yet another example of Major League Baseball shooting itself in the foot. And I look at the guys on Team USA that have been able to get insured. Like Aaron Judge had the elbow thing last year. You know, you have guys like Byron Buxton getting insured. With all due respect, you know, Byron Buxton, what do you remember most from him from his career? It's his injury concerns. He had a great year last year, was able to stay mostly healthy, but he's getting insurance. Alex Bregman was injured last year, and now he was insured for the tournament. Like it just seems a little backwards to me that we're insuring some of these guys that maybe have more injury concerns than the players that aren't able to get insured. So this sucks for the tournament as a whole.
I mean, yet again, players know what their main source of income is, and that is Major League Baseball playing for their teams. I understand the WBC is a pride tournament, and slowly but surely it's becoming like the World Cup of baseball. But I feel like, you know, sucks for the tournament. A lot of really good players. Where I kind of think it really stinks is like, you know, Francisco Lindor is the captain. MLB Network and MLB were posting up that he is the captain for Team Puerto Rico, and you know, it seemed like he was going to play, and then lo and behold, denied insurance coverage. Then you see, you know, Puerto Rico is also a host in Pool A. And if you want to talk about, Puerto Rico is also, you know, one of the top baseballing nations, and you know, around the globe. It's like, for example, I don't want to say it's like Brazil or Argentina, because I think Brazil or Argentina would be like USA, Japan, but I feel like it'd be like if England didn't make the tournament, or like, you know, if France didn't get an opportunity to play in the World Cup.
Yeah,
Puerto Rico has finished in two has been runner-up twice in this tournament. Like people do forget that Puerto Rico has really fared well in this tournament. Again, it's going to be really hard to field a team without MLB guys. It's going to be a really watered-down team, and I just feel like it stinks for the game because, like you said, we're not allowing our best players to compete versus top-notch competition, and two, along with it, not allowing the best players to compete. They're just a placeholder for a team that, you know, another team could might as well just give the opportunity to compete instead of Puerto Rico. And the thing is, and rosters get announced this week, so if they drop out, like that would be kind of catastrophic in the sense that, you know, you would lose a host nation, you would lose a really good team, and it would just all around just be terrible.
Yeah.
And it kind of, you know, off to that point, I did read something about injury concerns and everything. You know, people want to make the claim, and I understand why teams don't want to let their players play. But again, this is a once in every 3 to 4 year tournament. Like it's not every day that happens. And I find it crazy. It's just like, okay, we're not letting Lindor compete, but how is Paul Skeens and other United States and Japanese players getting insured? Just saying.
Right. It doesn't make sense. It seems like it does kind of feel like they want another Team USA versus Japan final, because the only team right now in Latin America that is going to be able to compete, I think, with USA and Japan is probably the DR. Looking at some of their commits, it's like, whoa, that team is going to be freaking loaded. It's just a matter of them coming together and doing it on the field, because they weren't able to do that in 23 despite having a loaded roster. Venezuela is down Altuve, which is a huge loss. Acuna was able to get insured, so he's going to be playing for them again this year. And
Acuna got insured after 2 ACL tears?
Right.
Like Buddy's knee, and no offense to Acuna, no disrespect, but Buddy's knee is a bomb.
And you know, Miguel Rojas was not able to get insurance because he's 37, and I think that's at the age where you're unable to get insured for this tournament anymore. So the whole thing just seems kind of messed up. And again, I draw the connection to hockey, where those guys are able to get insurance for the Olympics and the Four Nations and stuff like that in the middle of the season. And, hockey is way more dangerous than baseball. So this sucks. Obviously you don't want an Edwin Diaz situation from 2023. I get it, but I guess there is still the possibility of these teams letting players play without insurance. I highly doubt that's going to happen. I feel for
I can't see the Mets letting Lindor, with what the season is.
Right. There's a huge ton of pressure. And the thing with PR is it's a great baseballing nation, but they don't have a ton of depth in the way that like the Dominican Republic or Venezuela does. Like it's kind of the starting 9 and a couple guys in the rotation that are very talented, but they don't have it's not as deep of a team as Venezuela or DR. So that sucks. I'm glad we're not going to PR and we're going to Miami instead, because we wouldn't have been able to see a great game in PR.
Yeah. I do have some statistics I want to bring up. I found this on Twitter the other day by Less Than Dave at Run DMCD. He actually did a nice little analysis on WBC, and he showed that evidence, and this quote, evidence suggests that MLB pitchers who participate in the WBC tend to underperform and or face increased injury risk in the following MLB season compared to those who don't, often due to premature high-intensity exertion in March. Mm-hmm. Data suggests these pitchers often experience decreased innings, fewer starts, and higher ERA. So, for example, he pointed out pitchers in the WBC experience roughly a 16.5% drop in WAR, from 2.96 to 2.47, and a higher ERA increase in the next season compared to non-participants. Workload production. Participants average 2.5 fewer starts and 17 fewer innings in the following MLB season. Injury risk. The intense early season competition disrupts normal pitching progressions, which may contribute to higher injury rates. And obviously, he goes on to talk about structural risks. And the guys that he put at risk this year was Nolan McLean, Joe Ryan, Paul Skeens, Greg Skubal, Logan Webb, Jose Quintana, Christopher Sanchez, Sandy Alcantara, Yusi Kikuchi, and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He put Ohtani, but that's the other news of the week, that Ohtani's not going to be pitching for Team Japan, which I honestly wanted to talk about now. I think that's a huge loss for Team Japan, to be honest. Looking at Team Japan this year, it's a different team of what they've announced. They have Yamamoto, but they don't have Amai, which I feel like that's an arm that eats up some innings. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Rocky's pitching, right?
The Dodgers aren't letting him pitch. Yeah, he's not playing.
So yeah, you're down 2 starters from Team Japan, and it's forcing these MPB guys, which, no offense to the MPB, it's a great league, but it's just like these guys are MLB experienced and have pitched at the highest level when you're going to be facing the DRs and the Venezuelans and USAs of the world. So very interesting with Team Japan that Ohtani's not going to pitch. Again, Dodgers are, we'll talk about the Dodgers more later, but the Dodgers are taking a very different approach to the season, which I think is very logical as to what their season aspirations are.
Yeah, agreed. Yamamoto did commit this week. He said, quote, "I've trained during the offseason to get myself in condition to compete at the WBC. Together with my fantastic teammates and our reliable staff, we will aim to be number 1. I love Yamamoto. He's probably one of my favorite non-Yankees. I mean, the dude is just an absolute workhorse. We saw what he did in the World Series. And like he pitched so much in the playoffs last year. Obviously, the regular season pitched the most innings out of any Dodger starter. And Dodger fans are a little bit concerned of the workload with Yamamoto. But I'll say, like, if anyone can handle the workload of pitching deep into the World Series, pitching into the WBC, and then, right into another MLB season, I would put my money on Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He's proven that he can handle it. He's just he's a bit of a throwback type of pitcher in the amount of innings that he can take on. Now, obviously, there is concern there if you're a Dodgers fan. I do think, he's maybe 1 start in pool play, and, he only goes like 4 innings or something. And then you're really only looking at 1, like, long into the game start if it's going to happen for Yamamoto, probably in the semifinal or championship or something like that. So it's not like he's going to have 3, 4, 7+ inning starts. I don't think the workload is going to be too much here for Yamamoto, but he is committing. That is big news. I do think that is an interesting thing you brought up from the tweet there about the starters, the pitchers not really or struggling after pitching in the WBC. It does bring up the question of, could we move this from the start of the season? Because right now, like you said, like pitchers just aren't built up. They don't really have that spring training. Should we move the WBC into the middle of the season? Maybe instead of having an all-star game that year, I don't know if that would be a great idea, but instead of having all-star week, you fill it with the WBC instead. And, pitchers are built up. Position players have played their half a season. They're kind of in a good groove. Maybe the injury concerns are a little bit lessened because they have had that build up. They're used to playing. Similar to like what they did in the NHL with the Four Nations. Do they do something like that instead of having it before the season? Because it doesn't feel like the best timing, I think, having it when it is right now.
It's honestly tough. The thing is, again, we fall with these insurance policy concerns. Do you think the Yankees and other big teams are going to allow their best players playing in the midseason? There's no perfect plan. It's just like I tell people in life, there's no perfection in life, and you got to make the best out of whatever situation you're dealt with. And so, yet again, going back to the whole Team Japan point, Team Japan should be loaded. Excited to see how they play. Yamamoto, he's an absolute dog. Let's just be honest. This guy literally came in and pitched how many times in the World Series? It was like 3 or 4 times. Like it doesn't matter. Like I would be more shocked if he wasn't pitching. That would be actually headline news, like him not pitching. And so
that's true.
You can't keep a dog in the kennel, and I think that's what we're seeing. What will probably happen is he'll pitch his WBC, probably 4 starts, maybe tops.
Maybe. I was thinking like 2 or 3.
I was thinking 3 or 4 tops. He pitches 3 or 4 tops, gets back to when does the tournament end? Mid-March?
Yeah, like the week before opening day.
He probably doesn't pitch till mid-April, end of April.
Yeah.
End of April, mid-April. Or they give him all
end of April. Wait. End of April. Oh, that's the thing with the Dodgers. Like they don't care about the regular season. There's no pressure on them.
Yeah,
like they're gonna give these guys rest. You're right.
We'll talk about it later. You'll probably pitch mid-April, end of April, or even in May. Because that lineup is going to be so good. Probably is not going to be pitching more than 5 or 6 innings a night, like early on into the season, because that offense will be so freaking good that they'll put up like 7-8 runs a game. That if they can't get, if he can't handle that run support, then you should not be pitching for the Dodgers. And then you probably won't see full go out of him till July. Or maybe even August, just guesstimating, just rough. So
yeah, and they'll have they have depth. Like Emmett Sheehan, I think will be a fun name to watch this year, and he'll get that opportunity as a 6th starter. River Ryan, Gavin Stone, those guys will get some opportunity, I think, in that rotation. Again, they don't take risks with injury. They slow play it, which is smart. It all worked out last year. Everyone was ready for the postseason. They made the run. I think that's going to be the same strategy this year. So it is a good point on Yamamoto.
Well, that's also the big thing about Team Puerto Rico. Kike Hernandez is not playing either for Team Puerto Rico for injury. Like Team Puerto Rico should just be composed of the Puerto Rican League All Stars. Like just do that. At this point, we ain't got nothing. Like,
you do have Nolan Arenado who committed this week,
which is fine. But I mean, I thought we were going to have a middle infield defense. I said a comment off pod that I cannot repeat, but I thought but I'll paraphrase. And my comment was, our infield defense was going to be like Fort Knox.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. So I mean, we're going to be. I mean, look, we don't got Berríos. At this point, it's let's just get the Final 4: Venezuela, Japan, Venezuela, Japan. DR and USA. Let's just fast forward.
Yeah,
like I don't need these extra fluff games. Let's just get down to it.
Some other commitments for DR: Camilo Doval, Ketel Marte, Geraldo Perdomo, Gregory Soto, Wandy Peralta, J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez, all committed this week. And then for Venezuela, Wilyer Abreu, Jackson Churio, Michael Garcia, and Acuna Jr., like we talked about a little bit earlier. So that's loaded.
That Venezuela team's kind of sleepy. I mean, for the casual, not many big names for the casual to know, but for the diehard who knows, like the team's kind of got some pop to it. They got a lot of pop to it, you know.
Yeah, the addition of Churio will be nice. He wasn't there last time, so that'll be an interesting team to watch. We were there for the Trey Turner Grand Slam in the quarters last year against Venezuela. Electric atmosphere, so we know what they will be bringing to the table. And then just a few notes on Team USA. There was a question and answer article in The Athletic this week. Ken Rosenthal and Mark DeRosa. He noted that Bellinger is not playing. DeRosa is looking to fill 2 more spots, 1 starter, 1 versatile player, which would have been Bellinger, but Bellinger just kind of wanted to stay loyal to the Yankees, I guess is kind of what his MO was. And then we did have the addition of Clayton Kershaw, who it seems like he's going to be a length guy out of the pen, going to be an innings eater because he doesn't have any insurance concerns. He is retired from Major League Baseball. There's no concerns about him being ready for the regular season or anything. So he's going to be a bulk guy out of the pen, which will be interesting to see if he gets any run just as an innings eater. And then another note, I thought that was interesting. Zach Wheeler was going to play until he got injured with the blood clot in his shoulder, I believe it was. He's going to be out, obviously, for the tournament, but he would have played and would have been even more loaded of a roster if he was playing. But either way, yeah, to your point, I think it's clear who the best teams are in this tournament right now.
Yeah, they're looking for what are they looking? 1 more starter and 1 more versatile player. What starters left that they could take at this point?
I don't know.
I mean. Hey, I feel like it'll be another old vet guy. So hey, you know,
Cam Schlittler.
Hey, Cam Schlittler's a dog. I'd love the energy. He'd just be talking crap to these Venezuelans as Japanese guys, like,
on Twitter.
He would say something on field that would get the Yankees in trouble. You know, Yankees PR is like, no.
Yeah, I wonder if Yankee PR is going to have a sit down with Schlittler, like in spring training, be like, all right, we love you. You were great in the playoffs, but like the Twitter stuff, it's not what we do around here.
Don't you think it's already happened?
Probably.
Like, you can't be saying the expletive Boston word. You can't just say that. Like, we love it. I mean,
I think it's good for sports. Yeah, I think that's what fans have been missing so much, like the beef and the rivalries.
It doesn't fit the Yankee brand. That's the thing. It doesn't fit the pinstripes. You know,
the 21st century Yankee brand. Yeah, I guess so.
I was gonna bring something up. Since we were on the topic, Tyler Glasnow might not be ready for start of the season. Again, Dodgers are slow playing this. They're playing for October. I mean, look, if I'm a Dodgers starter, like I have all opportunity starting up in April. Like I have an audition for 31 other teams because let's just be honest, it's looking at how that rotation is. It's going to be very hard to crack it for the rest of the regular season unless you're like really, really good. And so that's an audition tape for 31 other teams that I feel like, you know, you're given an opportunity to get a whole, probably like a month or 2 month, you know, excuse me, it was Blake Snell, a month or 2 month takeoff period between Blake Snell getting ready. And again, you're probably going to get traded. You can make some good money after that. Why not?
Yeah, again, I think it goes to the conversation of just the Dodgers not prioritizing the regular season, which we'll get into the team previews here in a few weeks. Dodgers coming up will be the last one we do because they have the highest win total. But I think the play for the Dodgers, I think their win total is like 100.5. Like the play is the under because they're just not going to prioritize winning in the regular season. They're just trying to get into the playoffs. I mean, if you don't remember, you know, they were a wild card team last year. They won the division, but they played in the wild card round. And, you know, they had to play the Reds in that best 2 out of 3 series where anything can happen theoretically in the best 2 out of 3 series, but they, you know, trusted that their guys were going to be healthy and get ready for that series. They, you know, just destroyed the Reds, so it didn't really matter. I think that's going to be the strategy this year again. Now, you do run the risk of kind of everything felt perfectly for them last season. The odds of that happening again are low, and, you know, everyone getting healthy at the right time, building up, you know, just a perfect amount before the playoffs. But I do think it is the right strategy. The Dodgers have the luxury of being able to do it. I don't know if there's any other teams really across the sport that have the ability to kind of just deprioritize the regular season because they know they're going to be in the playoffs. But it is an interesting kind of thing going on in LA. And, you know, it's also interesting that, you know, Glasnow was floated in trade talks with like a Scooble potentially. Snell is, you know, historically has at times struggled with injury. Is he a potential? I don't know. Who knows? You know, I wouldn't put anything off the table with Friedman.
Well, they're holding Snell out, so I think they just want to keep everybody healthy, And at this point, I mean, I don't want to step on the preview, but the Dodgers are good this year. We know they're good. They've addressed positions. I still worry about versatility with them. They're still not as versatile as Toronto was. And I know Toronto is like ultra versatile, but yet again, we talk about playoff postseason. It's all about having chess pieces to move around. And how many chess pieces do they have to move around? That's the thing.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's something we'll definitely get into further in the preview. I think we should talk about their, some say, biggest rival, who had a big week this week in the San Francisco Giants. They made two signings.
They finally spent money? Really?
They finally spent money. So it is important to note that Posey, the president of baseball ops there, and Zach Manesian, the GM, were apparently operating under an ownership prohibition to stack another long-term contract on top of their core of Devers, Adames, Chapman, and Logan Webb this winter. So they've opted to a couple short-term deals. This week was, or it was yesterday, it was announced that Luis Arraez is signing a 1-year, $12 million deal with the Giants. He wanted to play second base. The Giants are going to make him their everyday second baseman. The new infield coach over there, Ron Washington, who we love here on this podcast, is going to be tasked with coaching Arraez at second and Rafael Devers at first. So he's got his hands full this year. And then Harrison Bader signs with the Giants, 2 years, $20.5 million. The Giants outfield last year ranked last in outs above average and 28th in defensive runs saved, DRS. So they needed some outfield defense. They got it, and they got the best, arguably, contact bat in the sport in Luis Arraez. But he's a singles only guy. Luis, what are your thoughts on these moves?
I mean, the first thing I thought before I hopped on Twitter, I was watching the Kentucky game last night, which I think William was annoyed because I was texting him BBN last night. It was a good game.
Kayla and I were watching it. I passed out about 8 o'clock. I was out cold, but she told me when I woke up that Kentucky did win. So
yeah, I was watching the game. It was the only thing on television last night. Like, there was nothing on television. We're at the point where television starts to stink and it starts to suck, and there's nothing to watch on Saturday or Sunday nights, and it makes you feel like you got to go out and do something with your life instead of just sitting around and try to watch a game.
February is a brutal month for sports outside the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Olympics are on Friday, thankfully, so true. I'll be watching some skiers and some bobsledding and some curling, whatever they do. But again, it's gotten to the point that I've adopted hockey this winter. The problem is I don't get the hockey games. But in regards to the Giants, I said that defense is going to be terrible. Luis Arraez at second and Rafael Devers. Like, we see a lot of the good teams these days now value positional defense. You want to have good spine defense. The Giants just don't care about that. The Giants just care about, like, we're going to put as much as runs possible with Devers and Arraez, and they've stacked it up. Heliot Ramos is a power bat. We're just going to stack up runs and we'll figure it out. In the sense, I saw a tweet and it encompassed, like, what I feel about the team defensively. It's like that picture where it's the horse that the butt is drawn well, and then the front is just like chicken scratch. That is the Giants defense in a nutshell. You have Gold Glove defense on one side of the diamond with Matt Chapman, and Willie Adames is a good defender, and then on the other side is just terrible.
And on top of that, you have the best defensive catcher in the sport, and Patrick Bailey, Platinum Glove winner. It's so funny that just the vast gap of talent on defense for them this year.
I strictly don't know what they're trying to do. Like, Luis Arraez is a great bat, but at this point in his career, I think he's a DH. Like, he's a DH or a first baseman.
Is he a great bat, though? That's the whole conversation. Like,
he gets on base.
He gets on base. He hits singles, but that's it. Like, he's a singles god. And last year, his batting average was down to like 290 something after winning 3 straight batting titles for 3 different teams.
I think he's very good. He's a professional hitter. And any team would love to have it.
I know, and I understand, like, well, would any team love to have it? I mean, 1 year, $12 million, like, not much of a deal. February 1st he signed, basically.
William, $12 million is a new, like, minimum at this point.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he had no market. Like, teams didn't really want him. But I like Luis Arraez. He's not a perfect player. I think he's good in the context of your team. Like, if you're looking for him to carry your lineup, no, he's not going to be that guy. But if you're a team looking to win a World Series, I think he's a perfect type of player to have on your team.
But I completely disagree. I think, like, number one, if you're Yankees or the Dodgers or the Mets, you would love to have Luis Arraez in your lineup.
That's what I just said. If you're a team looking to win the World Series,
but even if you're the freaking Reds, you would still want Luis Arraez in your lineup. A team like any team that needs offense will love him.
You need the power bats behind him. Yeah, he's going to get on base. He's going to hit singles, but that's it. Like, and again, like I talked about, like in the clip I posted, like vibes guys. Like we talk so much about numbers these days, and everything has to be down to numbers. And his OPS plus isn't good. And I get it. But looking at Luis Arraez, he is one of the more fun players in the sport to watch because you literally watching his at bats, you see him looking around the field, seeing where players are positioned, and then maybe if the left side of the field is open, he'll pop one over to the left field and get a single, or if the pull side's open, he'll pull one over to right field and get a single. Like he's that talented of a hitter. He's got a great feel for his swing. He super slow swing velocity, whatever swing speed, bat speed, but he gets on base. He hits singles. He does not strike out. Like there is value in that for sure. I don't think he's like one of the best hitters in the league, but he is a very unique bat, a throwback type of bat that if you just talk about like vibes guys, he is a vibes guy. I love watching him play the game. I don't know what it means for this Giants team because to your point, I don't know what the hell they're doing.
No, I'll say this. What team would not want Luis Arraez? Give me a team that would not want him, and I will completely combat you on it.
The Rockies.
The Rockies need to put runs up.
He's not a runs producer.
He's going to get on base, and he's going to manufacture it. Whoever they get on base, he'll move it. Like, they need runs. They need to produce offense. That team has no offense. He has some semblance of offense production, at least getting on base. What bat on the Rockies is better than Luis Arraez?
Hunter Goodman.
Don't say Hunter Goodman because Hunter Goodman has only had one good year. With all due respect.
That's it. I mean, there's no one else.
Exactly. Okay, give me another team that would.
Yeah. What about the Guardians?
The Guardians. What do you mean? They have
Stephen Kwan, similar type of bat. I mean,
yeah, but both of them, you put them both together, and I mean, you move them, and then you have J-Ram. That's perfect.
Okay.
They need a bat. Like, I'm just saying, what team wouldn't want Luis Arraez? I understand.
I just think it's an interesting conversation of how polarizing this guy is. Like,
I guarantee you, if the Marlins don't have Luis Arraez, that team is garbage. Like, way bad. And look what happened when he left. They were worse.
Yeah.
They got better later on, but like the Marlins were one of the worst teams in the Major League Baseball when he was there. But they still had him and he was producing. He leaves, they got worse. That's my whole point. Now let's go to Harrison Bader. Harrison Bader, one of my favorite players in the league. Great defender. Bat was really good last year. What this tells me is that the money wasn't there. I heard the number that was floated. I think the Trent Grisham number was the number all of the Harrison Bader, Trent Grisham archetype of outfielders wanted, and he didn't get it. Essentially, it's 2 by 20, so it's 1 year, 10 mil. Again, don't understand why other teams weren't on it. I know Kansas City was floated. They could have used him. Philadelphia had him. $10 million isn't that much of money in capital these days. The Yankees have decided to flush 1 year, $22 million into Trent Grisham. They could have saved $12 million. And I know that's revisionist history, but I mean, this contract is a bargain. The biggest thing with Harrison Bader, and this has been throughout his whole career, has been will the bat ever come to fruition? And we saw the semblances of that in the second half, where on the Phillies, his bat was really, really good after the trade deadline, after he got traded from Minnesota. Again, the other thing is with Harrison Bader is that he just hasn't been healthy. He's been littered with injury in the Cardinals days. He was on the Yankees. His Yankee stint was up and down. And other than that, he bounced with the Reds, the Mets, the Twins, and the Phillies, and it's just been injuries in the bat. When he's not injured and he's healthy, and he has that speed, which is something that's concerning because he is getting up in age, and he is very fast. Is his defense? He's always going to make a name off of his defense, and you can make a really long MLB career being a great defender, and that's what Harrison Bader's doing. If the bat is there, again, great signing by the Giants, and for a team that might be in the wild card hunt or out of the wild card hunt, could be some good trade deadline fodder for a Central team.
Agreed. Yeah, he's a bit of a reverse splits guy, really good against righties, not as good against lefties. But again, like elite defender, 92nd percentile and outs above average last season. Since Bader debuted in 2017, only Kevin Kiermaier has generated a higher outs above average among center fielders. So the Giants that we know they were a terrible team defensively in the outfield last year. They get a good defender in Harrison Bader, going to play center for them. Helio Ramos in left field needs to figure it out and improve. And then it looks like Jung Hoo Lee is going to move over to right field, which should be a nice welcome move for him. As we know, center field is absolutely massive out there in Oracle. And I think Bader's a good guy to patrol center field. Also, he is a vibes guy. He is beloved in the clubhouse. We talk about, him in Philly. Came over at the trade deadline and was quickly a clubhouse favorite. They really loved him out there. Unfortunately, got hurt, and I think that really hindered their playoff run. I know it's just one player, not necessarily a huge name or anything, but had they had him healthy, I think they would have had a better chance against the Dodgers in that series, which was a little bit closer than people remember. So I think this is a good addition for the Giants. Two good additions. I also think it's interesting to note that the Giants are valuing these contact type of players. Ever since Buster Posey took over in October of 2024, the organization has made a concerted effort to pack its minor league system with contact hitters, spending high school draft picks on collegians such as Gavin Klein, Trevor Cohen, who both posted high averages and low strikeout rates. That was from The Athletic. So Giants, I guess they're valuing contact and defense. I still don't really know what to expect from that team. We'll kind of talk about that when we get more into the preview season. But it's good that they're making an effort to make the team better, I think, this winter.
They remind me, I know I said this last time, but they're like the Miami Heat of baseball in a way. Like always floated out with the big names and everything. So
yeah, that's interesting. And they have won 3 World Series this century.
No, yeah, I mean Harrison Bader's a great player. I'm a Harrison Bader guy. How much have I pumped his name this pod? Like I like the player.
Yeah, you wanted a Yankee reunion at the start of the offseason.
I do. I know he wasn't great with the Yankees, but I do feel like he would have saved some money. You could have gone some bigger fishes, but yet again, it all becomes is he healthy? And he's 31. The speed could be coming down, and so we know how good he was in the Cardinals. And I mean, we could talk to Cardinals fans how good he was in St. Louis. It was always about can that bat come together? Can he stay healthy? And I think he's a great center fielder defender. Again, the Giants are a very interesting team. They got good MLB talent, but how did they stack up against everybody else? The Tony Vitello experiment starts. Will be interesting how that team pairs. I mean,
they're one of the more interesting teams for me this season. And
polarizing is the word for them this year.
Yeah, maybe. The outfield is massive, so it's going to be a lot of ground for Bader to patrol. And I also think with the outfield being massive, it makes it interesting for a guy like Luis Arraez playing out there with so much empty grass for him to find seeing eye singles like he does. Could be a good fit. Could see his average tick up to above 300 again this year. We'll see. It's a tough place to hit, but it's not like he's hitting home runs anyway, right? He's not a power guy.
And the big you do have to think about Oracle Park is it is a huge park that Luis Arraez is a NL West veteran. Like he paid for the Padres and the Marlins, so he's like had his fair share of encounters at Oracle Park. So again, Giants very polarizing team. You got an elite defender all the way down to one of the worst defenders in the league. It's like no in between with this team right now.
Yeah, Tony Vitello has an interesting first year, to say the least. I'm very interested to see how that all works out.
They might be a .TV team.
They are. I think they might be one of my West Coast teams this year.
There are more, and I'll say this right now: there are more .TV teams on the West Coast that I want to watch than on the East Coast.
I agree. And it's always like that way. I don't know why I always like watching the West Coast teams, but like if you look at the East Coast, we're kind of just used to it. Like the Mets, I think are going to be an interesting one just because the team is so different than last year. Like it's a whole different team.
I'll be tapped into the Mets. I just don't. None of the Central teams excite me this year, and like we can just talk about the Central. Austin Hayes signed with the White Sox, and I memean that's a move. 1 year, $5 million, the mutual option for 2027. Cubs, Padres, Tigers, Rangers were interested. Yankees were linked. 949 OPS against lefties, 319 average. I mean, it looks like the Yankees are diving in the market with in that market as well. They are looking at guys like Goldschmidt. Maybe you put Rice at catcher. They did see, I think Austin Slater reunion might happen.
They offered him, yeah.
But I mean, it looks like the White Sox are going to be an interesting team to watch. Another team that they've had a lot of offseason movement. Again, it's going to be interesting to see how they fare in a Central that should be wide open with the Tigers not doing much, the Guardians not doing much either, and the Twins, which
We'll get to them later.
Pray for Minnesota. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a good move. Could always be trade deadline fodder, but yeah, he crushes lefties. So White Sox have now made 3 big league signings this winter. So good for them. We also
see a lot of these moves coming down. I mean, with spring training coming in the next 2 weeks, I would like to point out to our listeners that a lot of these vibes guys are going to get snatched up like that. Again, I made this point. I think it was last year, but these players aren't working out. Most of them don't live where they play. Like they live out, in other centers of the world where they train and they practice. I know that a lot of them practice in Arizona. A lot of them practice out here in South Florida. So teams don't know. Yes, they check in, but teams don't know. They have to do the physicals and everything, and injuries could pop up. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens here in the next 3 weeks. Again, we could see some injuries come out of nowhere, phantom injuries. I know last year it was the Marcus Stroman injury we had that came up right at the start. And you could see guys like, I know Giolito's still on the market, get snapped up really quickly like that. The market's going to reopen. So we'll see a couple moves. And then once pitchers and catchers report, we should see the floodgates open for these guys as injuries start getting reported and these physicals start getting checked and teams start getting a closer look to see how they've been improving. They could be like, oh, this guy really sucks, or oh, this guy hasn't gotten better this offseason. Yeah. This dude's just been drinking rum on the beach, out in Cancun. Might be time to go get somebody to help us out to win this year.
Yeah, I think we'll see the a lot of these moves finally get wrapped up here in the coming weeks. In another move with the A's, they extended their all-star shortstop, Jacob Wilson, to a 7-year, $70 million deal. It includes a club option for an 8th season. The deal, essentially, it buys out the remaining pre-arbitration years and all of the arbitration years, in addition to 2 years of free agency, as Wilson wasn't set to hit the open market until after the 2030 season. Now he's locked up through 2032. As we know, he is kind of a Luis Arraez type mold. Hit 311 last year with 13 home runs. 13 home runs seems like a lot. I think a lot of that had to do with Sutter Health Park. 26 doubles, 5 stolen bases, and only a tiny strikeout rate of 7.2%. I think Arraez's strikeout rate was like 3.5 or something crazy last season. It is the 8th largest guarantee ever made to a player with under 2 years of MLB service, and it is the 2nd largest deal in Oakland A's A's franchise history, trailing only Tyler Soderstrom's 7-year, $86 million deal that he signed earlier this offseason. So that now means that the A's have locked up Jacob Wilson, Tyler Soderstrom, Lawrence Butler, and Brent Rooker, 2 long-term extensions. They're clearly building this young core, extending this young core for what they're going to be in Las Vegas. Again, I know Nick Kurtz has a long time before he is going to hit the market, but I think their attention naturally has to now change to Nick Kurtz, who is going to get the biggest deal out of all of these guys. And I think it would be smart for Kurtz to probably wait a little bit to sign that deal.
Well, I mean, looking at what the market is telling us for Nick Kurtz, 5 years, $155 million should be the point, the branch point, the benchmark. Excuse me.
And who's that? Whose contract was that?
Pete Alonso this offseason, 5 by 155.
Yeah, something like that. 30-something mil a year. Again,
10 by 300. 10 by 300. Let's just get to it.
Maybe it's smart for him to wait, but also maybe it's smart for him to try to push for it now because he had such a good rookie season. Maybe his value will never be higher than it is right now. Who knows? I think he's one of the more interesting players to watch this year. Can he follow up that insane rookie season that he had? He is represented by Excel Sports Management, so he is not a Boris guy. That is a huge note because, as we know, Boris guys love to
hit the market.
They hit the market. They hit the market, and he's not a Boris guy.
Yeah, it's going to be – if I'm Oakland, Sacramento, if I'm at Vegas, I offer 10 by 250.
Yeah. So how many –
it's 10 by 250, $25 million a year.
I'm going to look up their payroll. I got a makeshift studio this week. I'm out in the suburbs, so I can't go as quick. He's got Nick Kurtz has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's got 5 seasons until he's a free agent. So do you sign him to again with Wilson
10 by 250? Let's go.
So you buy out 5 years of remaining ARB, 5 years of free agency. Be a free agent 10 years from now when he's 32. If I'm him, I'm looking for because he's going to be 23 this season. I'm looking for a 7 or 8 year deal so I can hit free agency right around that 30 years old. Maybe 6 year deal, something like that.
8 by 200. 25 million a year.
Oof. I think he's worth it. Dude, he was one of the best first basemen in the sport last year. He's that good.
He should be in the plane. He should be on the plane to. I'm a pro A's guy. This season my teams are this year. I'll be watching the Yankees. I'll be watching the A's. I'll be watching the Mets, and I'll be watching some San Francisco, and the Dodgers. So
I'm fascinated by the A's too.
I'm very fascinated.
They got to figure out the pitching side of things. I don't know. They got to develop someone there, but they're going to be good with the bats next year. A couple other smaller moves. The Yankees did trade for a reliever, Angel Chavili from the Rockies. They traded first base prospect TJ Rumfield, who had a 121 WRC plus and 16 home runs in AAA last year. Chavili is the 23-year-old. There's no way to really sugarcoat it. I mean, the dude was terrible last season. He had a 7.06 ERA, allowed nearly 2 home runs per 9 innings pitched, and barely 6 strikeouts per 9 innings pitched across 43 appearances. But as the Yankees love to do, he is an underlying metrics darling. Average fastball velo is 97.1, which is in the 88th percentile. His slider grades out with 110 stuff plus. Changeup had a 42% whiff rate. Ground ball rate was 50%, which was in the 84th percentile. So seems like this is another Matt Blake project, but big issue coming into this season for the Yankees, I think, is the bullpen. They haven't really done anything this offseason to address it. This was a trade to do so. Let's see what happens with them. I don't know.
All these moves you're about to say are let's see what happened.
And then the other one that we don't even really need to talk about, but Kai Tang traded to the Astros from the Giants in return for a minor league catcher, Yancel Villarreal. Tang had a 6.37 ERA with the Giants last year, but he'll be a depth piece for the Astros. Don't really have much on that one, but it is.
He'll become a spin rate darling by the end of the season. Just know what happens at Houston.
Potentially.
Yeah.
You want to get into the T100 lists?
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of T100 lists. I think it's a bunch of baloney, to be honest. I think it's just a bunch of talking heads, sometimes just like us. I completely disagree. They got Ohtani 1, Judge 2, Bobby Witt Jr. 3, Cal Raleigh 4, J-Ram 5, Soto 6, Skeen 7, Scooble 8, 9, Corbin Carroll, and 10 Vlad Jr. So let's just decompress this list. Number 1, how is Cal Raleigh 4 after the season he had? We're going to rank the dude who didn't even make the playoffs at 3 with Bobby Witt Jr. and put the guy who would have been an MVP in a non-judge season world at 4. That's number 1. Also, Juan Soto, the guy who single-handedly held the Mets up and was in MVP talks over J-Ram. We're J-Ram fans. No offense. J-Ram's good, but I say that's a toss-up. I think you can switch those. Also, Paul Skeens at 7, best pitcher of the game. Really? We're going to put him J-Ram over Paul Skeens. Also, Scooble. And Scooble, Skeens, again, Scooble has more pedigree. And then Vlad Jr. after the postseason we're going to put Corbin Carroll, who hasn't even – Corbin Carroll made a World Series, but again, Vlad Jr. was literally the catalyst for the Toronto Blue Jays this offseason. This postseason. So again, I think this list is a bunch of baloney. I guarantee you, in a year, it'll be completely different.
I have an issue putting pitchers and hitters in the same list because how do you quantify? It's impossible to quantify the difference between Skeen, Scooble, and J-Ram. There's just no stats you can point to, really. And then the issue I have, my question would be, if there's one player on this list that drops out of the top 10 this year, who would it be?
Corbin Carroll.
Ooh, I would say Cal Raleigh, because Cal Raleigh was nowhere near a top 10 player in the league before his crazy season last year. He was in the 700s for OPS. Again, he was one of the better defensive catchers, won a platinum glove.
Corbin Carroll.
Player.
Corbin Carroll or Ronald Acuna Jr.?
Acuna.
Okay. Alex Bregman or Corbin Carroll?
Carroll.
I'm taking Bregman.
Wow. I take Carroll. Carroll's really good, man.
Kyle Tucker or Corbin Carroll?
Carroll.
Mookie Betts or Corbin Carroll?
Well, what version of Mookie Betts are you getting? 2025 Mookie Betts?
Oh my God! Here we go into the semantics.
Oh, I'm just saying. I think Witt at 3 makes sense. He's really good. Again, I've talked about how he would win an MVP, or once Judge retires, that's when Witt is going to start to win MVPs. I think he's that.
Or maybe this year.
Maybe if Judge gets hurt or something, or just has a down year. We also had the top 10. Well, maybe I'll say who was 11th. 11th was Lindor. Then we had Crochet, Yamamoto. Acuna was 14. Tatis 15. J-Rod 16. Schwarber, Betts, Marte, Cattell, and Will Smith to round out the top 20. So, and none of this stuff means anything. But
nope, it's just nope. It's just baloney to me.
Top 100 prospects, we had number 1, Connor Griffin, who this dude is getting like some serious buzz for the Pirates. Yeah. Number 2, Kevin McGonigal from the Tigers. Number 3, Jesus Mate from the Brewers. 4, Leo DeVry from the A's, another young A's prospect. Number 5, J.J. Weatherholt from the Cardinals. Number 6, Nolan McLean from the Mets. 7, Sebastian Walcott from the Rangers. 8, Samuel Basayo from the Orioles. 9, Colt Emerson from the Mariners. And number 10, Max Clark from the Tigers. I have an interest in prospects, but to a certain level, just because I think if you put all of your eggs in the top 100 basket, the Orioles would have 3 World Series by now. As we know, they have 0. They missed the playoffs last year, so a lot of the stuff can change from year to year. But I do think this Connor Griffin guy could be something. There seems to be a lot of buzz around him.
The problem is he plays for the Pirates. So knowing how Pirates things go, again, he's getting serious like Mike Trout buzz.
Yeah. Keith Law said he's the most impressive prospect he's seen since Mike Trout. That's crazy.
Well, I don't want to talk about him because I'll try to go get him in fantasy this season.
I reactivated the league yesterday. I don't know if you saw that.
I don't, because I deleted the app because I lost it fantasy football very tragically. So the app was offloaded.
Well, you better get those gears turned again. It's fantasy baseball season soon here.
I'll wake up when I need to wake up. Wake me up when February ends.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Hey, did you see the switch pitcher is still in the top 100?
What team does he play for? What farm?
Seattle.
Yeah. What's his name?
I can't pronounce it. Hurangelo. I think he's eligible for WBC. For Netherlands.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, the Yankees. I think it's Elmer Rodriguez Cruz is pitching for Team Puerto Rico,
and he changed it. I think it's just Elmer Rodriguez or Elmer Cruz now. He dropped the hyphenated last name.
Yeah,
he is. Yeah,
he's there. I mean, you'll be tapped in to watch him on WBC play. My question is, this is something for the ponder. Could a AAA team beat, like, obviously they won't be able to beat like the USA's fully loaded Dominican, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, but can, let's say, a AAA team beat like the Netherlands?
Or like Chinese Taipei or something like that?
Yeah.
Or Australia?
Yeah.
Maybe. Because a lot of these teams are basically minor league teams. I do think, it'd be a chance. Especially if like a team with the top prospect. Like, wasn't it Harry Ford played for Great Britain last year or in 2023 when he was one of the top prospects? Now he's with the Nationals.
Bazana's playing for Australia.
Well, he's going to get some serious time with the Guardians this year. So
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. Do you want to talk about these Cashman Boone quotes?
I don't care. Let's just what are they saying? Like, he gets offended. They re-signed Cody Bellinger, run it back with the same team. Dude, I don't care. We want to see World Series. World Series is what matters for the Yankees. I don't care about, like, go make some moves. It's kind of like, why do you have to defend yourself? If you have to defend yourself for something that you did,
that's a good point.
Like, if you have to defend yourself for something that you did, you already like screwed up.
Yeah, he said, I'm not afraid to run with the talented roster of players that we do have. I think we've been consistent with that throughout the entire winter. I've been openly willing to challenge anybody that we don't have a championship caliber roster and team. It's our job to try to make and find ways to make it better along the way. kind of what we expected him to say. Boone said we got beat up in the division round. It didn't go our way, but that doesn't mean it's not going to go our way next time. We really think we're good. It's a long ways away. It doesn't mean we're going to go win 94 games again. It doesn't mean we're going to win 88 games, but we think we have the pieces. So, and then Bellinger said, obviously it might not be what everybody wants to hear, but I really do love the grouper that we had. We had a special unit. We had great chemistry. I don't think that can be understood unless you're inside the clubhouse. We all play for each other. We have some important pieces coming back. All played well. And I'm excited to run it back with those guys. I'm fully confident in the group. Look, I get it in the context of the American League, but again, you got destroyed by the Blue Jays last year. Like Garrett Cole, is Garrett Cole going to fix that? Probably not. Now, if everyone comes back healthy and firing, and you're looking at Cole game 1, Fried game 2, Schlittler/Rodon game 3, maybe it's a different story. But in terms of lineup, I don't know. Again, it's still too early to project any of this stuff.
You know what this reads to me, and I want to close it at this. I will be seeing Anthony Volpe in October.
Probably. Volpe was and what they'll say is Volpe was playing the best baseball of his career last season before he got hurt. That's what they'll say, which isn't false, but it's not what you want to hear as a fan.
Nope, not at all.
All right, we got to talk Minnesota Twins before we get out. Some crazy news.
Crazy things are happening in Minnesota. We see the Minnesota Vikings GM get fired here on Friday, which, I mean, he was an off-field drafter. And now we have the Dobo, the president of baseball operations, step down. I mean, talk about a team that's going through it right now. I mean, Joe Ryan, which I thought was kind of interesting. Do you see his ARB number?
No.
Joe Ryan got his arbitration done, and I'm just seeing things. So Joe Ryan, he agreed to $6.2 million to avoid arbitration. Mm-hmm. So he gets $6.1 million this year, and it includes a $13 million mutual option for 2027. Which is kind of interesting. Mutual option. Say Joe Ryan pitches his butt off this year. Twins are going to be terrible. Mutual option. You know he's not going to cash in that mutual option for 2027. And looking at what next winter is going to be, yes, there's a lockout. It is the winter of school, but there's going to be a lot of money in the market just lying around because a lot of teams are gearing up for school. I'm just saying, Twins trading Joe Ryan is looking highly good right now.
I think it'll happen. Yeah, this was stunning news, though. Friday, the Twins parted ways with the president of baseball operations, Derek Falvey. Again, it was a mutual parting of ways, but it seems like him and Tom Pohlad did not really get along well. So Joe Pohlad was the executive chair last season, and then they pushed him out in December, replacing him with his older brother, Tom Pohlad. Ask any Twins fan, they all hate whatever Pohlad it is. It doesn't really matter. But Tom has, repeatedly made it clear that he expects the Twins to be competitive this season without actually giving the front office any of the resources to do so. So it seems like Falvey wasn't super happy there. He said it's been challenging at times. I'd be lying to say anything else. Everyone is going to have different limitations or challenges they have to navigate through. I do think for us over the course of certainly the last 16 or 18 months, those were ratcheted up. We remember in 2023, they made the playoffs, won their first playoff series in a long, long time against the Blue Jays, broke that 18-game playoff losing streak. And then they cut payroll significantly the following 2 seasons after that. And that just sucks, obviously, if you're leading the whole thing as the president of baseball operations. We know the Twins, the Pohlads, put the team up for sale, and they were never able to find a buyer for the majority share of the club due to what was reported of $400 million in debt on top of that $1.7 billion asking price. Instead, the Twins welcomed a trio of minority stakeholders who purchased their shares at that $1.7 billion valuation, therefore essentially cleaning up all of the debt that the Twins had. So now the Twins should be debt-free. The Pohlads are still going to be the owner, which sucks if you're a Twins fan. Falvey had been there since 2016. Now their number 2 is going to be taking over, Jeremy Zoll, but they will commence a search immediately for a new president of baseball operations. So Stunning news, especially with it coming 2 weeks before spring training. Now there's really no leadership there. Like there's no vision, there's no structure heading into the season. It raises the question of what happens with Joe Ryan and Pablo Lopez. Again, two guys that I thought should have been traded this offseason if they weren't trying to win next season, which they made it very clear at the deadline. They were not trying to win. This team is very far away. They have a lot of young talent coming up through the farm system. But Joe Ryan and Pablo Lopez, I just don't think they fit that timeline. And we've seen ownership slash payroll the last 2 seasons. Pablo Lopez is on a big deal. Why not trade him, get off that money? Joe Ryan, he's coming up to free agency in a couple of years. Why not trade him when he's going to get a big payday? That is kind of like the approach that this front office has taken. Now there's just no structure. So I don't know if these guys are going to get traded. What's going on with the Twins? Pohlad says that they're going to be competitive next season. I don't see it. How do you say that when you've been slashing payroll? None of this makes sense to me. It seems like a total train wreck.
It's the AL Central, man. Anything can happen. But, I mean, with this huge arbitration thing that came down with the mutual option for Joe Ryan, I mean, I don't know why would you agree to a mutual option because you're just slashing off your potential package return. You're losing leverage again. So, I feel bad for Twins fans. I mean.
Yeah, I texted Joe. He just said they're a complete mess. It feels like the mutual options never get picked up, really. So
why would Joe Ryan pick it up and make another $13 million when he could probably get $30 million? Because who would you rather have? Again, I use the Dylan Cease comp. Dylan Cease or Joe Ryan?
Probably, I'd say push, maybe. Joe Ryan, probably, though.
So that's the contract benchmark right there.
It's a conversation for sure, yeah. And we know the Twins aren't paying that money, so
no, they won't. Or they might do it because teams just do that. You could be like the Memphis Grizzlies though, and have a guy who allegedly is funding the Russian military with crimes against humanity. Allegedly.
Yeah, this is what Pablo Torre is diving into in his podcast.
Allegedly,
but as a Grizzlies fan, it's like, how is this? If this is true, like. You gotta force them to sell the team.
Allegedly.
Like, come on.
Allegedly.
Grizzlies are a train wreck. Twins are a train wreck. Vikings might be a train wreck too. They got rid of their GM. Keep dropping the mic.
So yeah, well, it is what it is, my boy. William, when are we coming back next week?
Well, preview season starting soon. Obviously, the Super Bowl is next Sunday, so I think we'll start previews after that. Been doing some work in the doc for that one. Next week, I don't know, Friday, something like that.
Word. Sounds good.
All right. This was fun. You got anything else?
No, man. I gotta get to work. I gotta clock in right now. So.
All right. Well, enjoy that. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please hit that subscribe button. Try and hit 500 on YouTube before the end of the calendar year. Until next episode, catch you guys next time. Peace out.